Hey, what's good, guys? It's Andrew from GarageBandProfessional.com, and today I'm going to show you what I think are the best instruments for hip hop in GarageBand. Some of these instruments are stock, some of them are VSTs that you're going to have to download. Regardless, I'm going to walk you through each one. I'm going to show you how you would how to get each one and where to find it. And yeah, so let's just get into it. So the number one instrument that I started out when I first started playing was the Steinway Grand Piano. So where you find that, you just find it in piano right here. Click on that, and then Steinway Grand Piano. Now, on its own, it doesn't sound that great. I mean, it sounds all right, but there's a lot that can be done with it in terms of reverb, delay, and ambience, and so on and so forth. So typically, I mean, if you just mess with these controls a little bit, like you can make it sound actually pretty cool. So let's bring this up. And then also what I mentioned in the article too is that if you mess with the EQ a bit, you can get it to sound kind of, I would say, more authentic just by boosting the mids, as you can see what I just did right here. You boost these mids a little bit, bring up the musical typing again. In my opinion, I think that sounds more realistic. But I mean, it's up to you to figure out what you want to do. So in this interface right here, you can adjust all of these instruments: delay, ambience, reverb. And another thing I pointed out as well is that if you click this icon right here, it looks like an arrow kind of. It's the arpeggiator. So you click on it, open it up, and then you'll notice that you get a ton of presets. I don't think I've ever seen anybody mention this before, but it's useful. So I selected bouncing funk. So I mean, there's a ton of these presets, and this applies to all instruments as well. You can use it all over the place. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. Hold on though, I'm going to think about it first. If there's anything else I should say about it. Yeah, I guess that's it. And let's move on to the next one. The next one is the forefront piano. Now, let's say hypothetically that you don't like this at all and you think it's garbage and you don't want to use it. So what you want to do is you want to click on this. After you've downloaded the plugin, you click on your plugin right here. Make sure it's the top one and not these other ones. Click on forefront piano. Then you can, let's get that delay off so you can see what it sounds like. I don't know if you can notice the difference, but the forefront piano is definitely superior, but not by a lot. You know, it's better for sure, but not by a lot. But anyway, I have an entire article and YouTube video on how to install plugins, and I linked it in the article here at GarageBandProfessional.com. So you can figure that out later. I'm not going to go through how to install plugins in this. Another good one is the DSK dynamic guitars. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that on this article at GarageBandProfessional.com, the best GarageBand instruments for hip hop, I link to all the plugins, so I'll make sure you check out the articles because that's where you're going to find everything. So each one is at vstforfree.com unless I've indicated otherwise. But anyway, the dynamic guitars as well from VST for free. This is a good one. It's definitely superior to the instruments that you get in GarageBand in terms of the guitars. I mean, I played guitar my entire life, so I know what a guitar is supposed to sound like. And frankly, GarageBand's acoustic and other guitars, it's not cutting it. It's not that great. So it's definitely worth downloading these. So I'll bring one up right now. Dynamic guitars, there we go. It sounds more realistic. So let's choose the nylon too. And acoustic. So it sounds a lot better, and you can also adjust a ton of the the presets as well, like reverb, release, sustain, decay, attack. These are just compressor terminology. And yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Get it from vstforfree.com. I'm trying to get this video to go quickly. I'm already 5 minutes in, kind of wasting time. But anyway, another good one is the Drum Pro plugin. This is my favorite drum machine plugin. It's from Studio Linked. I think my favorite part of it would be the trap kit. The trap kit is pretty good. And there's a few other hip hop drum kits that have really sick snares and claps and shakers and stuff. So it's worth trying out. You know, it also comes with the delay, sustain, reverb, attack, all that stuff. I'll bring it up in the GarageBand interface. Where is it? Here, Drum Pro.
By the way, I got a present for you. Go to producersociety.com/free mixing cheat sheet. That'll put you on my list to get a free mixing cheat sheet. And I send all kinds of cool tips and stuff that I don't share anywhere else. You can also join my forum at forum.producersociety.com. For now, it's totally free to sign up, but in the future, I'll probably lock it down and then turn it into a full course platform.
So as you can see, there's all these drum kits right here. And it's great. I really like it. You know, you can also adjust the mixing of each instrument and the panning and so on and so forth, reverb, all that. But yeah, it's definitely worth trying out. And one good thing about it is that you can take individual instruments from it and, you know, open up a new software instrument. For instance, you go like this, and then you select the Drum Pro. And then, I mean, you could just have it so that it's, you know, playing one specific instrument. That's if you just like one part of it, you know what I mean? And then you can have another instrument where you're just doing like the kick. So for instance, beat machine. You know what I mean? So it's a good way to mix and match the instruments. That way, if you like only one part of it, you can select the one you want, isolate it in a different instrument track, and then you're good to go. You can kind of get the best of both worlds. And then the beat machine, that's the next one I chose here. The beat machine, I like it a lot. I like the kick. It's not the kick that they have is not a very common kick that I notice in hip hop music, but I like it. I think it sounds kind of cool. You get some EQ, distortion, compression, especially compression on the kick, and it'll sound great. You can access it at the first octave. So what I mean by that is you go, it's A at C1, because if you put it up to C3, you're not going to find it. So it's at C1. Moving on. The next one is the Boutique 808. I actually like GarageBand's Boutique 808. I think maybe some people don't. I think it's cool. So you access it right here. It's at C3, octave C3. And like every other drum instrument, I mean, you can really get it to sound great with compression and distortion. I mentioned Type U aggressive, so you turn that on, Type U aggressive in your presets, and then you can turn your distortion up to about 3, and you can get a nice Boutique 808, like a pretty good Boutique 808. Though there's nothing wrong with it, that's for sure. Yeah, let's move on. The bass guitar. Now, with the bass guitar, I don't actually use it in my music that often. However, what I like to do with it is I like to craft my bass lines with it. And then I turn it into a Boutique 808 or a deep sub bass synth afterwards, because I find that it helps illuminate any notes that are off key. So you can see how you can hear it a lot better, right? So I think it's great to craft the actual melody of the bass line with an instrument that you can hear, and then you switch it to the desired instrument after. And I think that's a great way of going about it. So yeah, you find the bass, and obviously in the bass category, you hit bass right here, and then you go right here. Let's move on to the next one, deep sub bass, as I just mentioned. You find this one in your synth category, synthesizer, bass, and you find it right here, deep sub bass. It can sound really good, honestly. You can get a bass line that's slamming. And obviously it has a bunch of presets and stuff, like organ, bright buzz, smooth pan. I just like sine. I think that's the one that sounds the best. Yeah, and as usual, you can put distortion on it. Distortion. Where are you? Let's get back in there. Clip distortion. And then, you get, put your compressor on there as well. Dynamics compressor. There. And then you can mess around with it. It makes a big difference. Distortion is the key when it comes to bass lines, in my opinion. The next one is the marimba and the vibraphone. You find both of these in the Malay category. So you go back. Where's the Malay? Here we go. Marimba. Your vibraphone. I love these instruments. They sound cool. And as usual, you can mess around with your plugins and also your interface down here. This one sounds cool when you use the arpeggiator that comes in the top right corner of the smart controls. Pretty cool. Arpeggiators are dope, man. Makes it so easy to make music. In case you were wondering what I'm looking at, by the way, I'm looking at my recorder, kind of judging to see how much time I'm using. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Oh yeah, also I forgot to mention that bouncing funk is a cool preset to use. I think it is. Anyway, so the next one is the flute solo. You can find this in your woodwind section. So you go, where are you? I think it's world. No, that's not it. Where are you again? Orchestral. There we go. And then here we are, woodwinds, flute. It isn't actually my favorite flute, but it's good nonetheless. What I don't like about it is how they programmed it and they made it so it's more realistic. So when you press the key, it takes time for the note to actually be played, which is more realistic to a real flute in real life. But it's kind of annoying in my opinion, but whatever, it works pretty good, sounds good. Let's move on to the next one, the DSK saxophone. This is a great saxophone. It sounds dope. You can get it at VST for free as well. It's also made by DSK. I think honestly, all their plugins are sick. They make great plugins. They do a good job. Let's just go to the website right here. This is where you find all the plugins, by the way. Let's listen to what it sounds like. In my opinion, the tenor sax sounds superior. And if you compare that to what they got in GarageBand, where are you? Orchestral. I think it's brass. Yeah. No. There we go. The GarageBand one is all right, but in my opinion, the DSK one is superior. So let's move on to the next one. Air bells, delicate bells, Antarctic sun, and splatter tables. These are all in the synthesizer category under bells. So you go synthesizer, bells. These are all my favorite. I think they sound cool. Here's the Antarctic sun, air bells, splatter tables. They sound dope. I like them. Let's move on to the next one, scream lead. This is an interesting one because I believe that it's kind of like, it can be made to sound like an old school Dr. Dre instrument. Like he used to use them a lot. I don't know if he still uses them anymore, but on the Chronic in 2001, he had this instrument in all of his songs, and it kind of sounded. Yeah, if you just I'll show you what I mean. So we're gonna turn the glide up a little bit. Let's get that delay turned down a bit, reverb. No, if you get rid of the highs a little bit. Let's turn it down a bit more. Come on, come on. So you can kind of see it has that "Let Me Ride" vibe. You know what I mean? And I think we'll actually turn the glide down a bit, and then maybe we'll get it to sound more like that. Turn the glide down. I'll show you what I mean. Let's go to that song right now. Let me ride. Oh wait, this is a bad idea because I'm gonna get a copyright strike. Never mind. Sorry, I don't want to get a copyright strike. Just go to "Let Me Ride" on YouTube from Dr. Dre, and you'll see what I mean. Anyway, let's move on. The bebop organ. The bebop organs are pretty sick. All of the organs are kind of cool. I don't use them a ton, but I do throw them in there sometimes. Where are we? Bebop organ. I mean, you can get a really old school jazzy soul kind of sound. Obviously, there's a ton of the other ones as well. Vintage Mellotron. I included this entire category because I think all of the instruments are sick. 3 violins sounds dope. Cello. Mixed choir. This flute, I think, sounds awesome. And the strings and flute together sound sick. I like all of these instruments. They sound great when you pan them as well. Like if you have this one, let's say this is a strings and a flute. Strings and flute. And then let's make this a cello. Cello. And you have this one maybe playing like an octave below. And then you pan them to the left and right like this, like 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock like that. And then you do that in your mix. You turn them way down because the frequency is high, so they're easy to hear. But so you turn them way down and then have them pan left and right like this. And they sound sick. I think they sound pretty good. And this is probably my favorite instrument to use. It's called the Erhu. I don't know how to pronounce it, actually. I think it's sick. You find it in World, stringed, and then right here. And you get your auto vibrato up. I like that one. I find it's just so easy to make a cool sounding melody with that instrument. I just love every sound that comes from it is sick. Also the Guz Hang. I'm probably obliterating these names. It's all in the same category under World. It's like that song, I think it's called Mystery of the Checkboxin'. I forget what it's called by Wu-Tang Clan. It's in my article. But I mean, I from what I understand, it's a Chinese traditional instrument. So you can get like that Asian or, vibe about it. The, traditional Asian music anyway. It's pretty cool. And then in terms of the arpeggiators, the dripping cycles, erratic motion, glass string structures, Zen Garden, and digital raindrops. All of these are good to go. I'll show you where you find them. Find them right here. Arpeggiator, basics. So you got this one. Erratic motion. Japanese string movement. What else? There's a few other good ones in here. You can also find them in bells as well. Digital raindrops. glass string structures. Then your Zen Garden. These are the ones that I like to use. Obviously, they're not for everybody. And then a real guitar, obviously. I mean, having a real guitar is awesome. But, of course, for this one, you have to know how to play it. You actually have to own a guitar. But I linked in my article how to plug your guitar in if you do have one and you want to know how to use it. I also included some helpful presets as well. Clean Echoes, Cool Jazz Combo, Dublin Delay, Dynatrem, Mystery Course. You can find pretty much all of these in the clean guitar subcategory, and then Blue Wave under the experimental guitar subcategory. And also in the same article right here at GarageBandProfessional.com, I have an article on how to use the amp designer as well. It's at this link right here. So let's move on to the pads. The pads, you find this in the synth category as well. So you're down to synth, pads, and there you go. You got all these pads right here. I think my favorite one, I'm not going to go through every one right now because I'm running out of time. But where is it? Sun Glitters sounds pretty cool. They all sound pretty good. Another one I like is the Breathing Vox, as well as the Boarding Area. The Boarding Area is probably my favorite. I like that one the most. And then for the last one, I got Soundscape, Event Horizon, and String Movements. So you find this in the synthesizer as well. You go to Synth, Soundscape, String Movements, and Event Horizon. I used to use those a lot when I first started out. I don't really use them anymore. But either way, they're pretty cool. And also, you can get Main Stage 3 as well. Now, this isn't free. I don't get a commission from this or anything, but you can get this on the App Store, Main Stage 3. I can't lie to you. I've never actually used Main Stage 3. So you're going to have to go somewhere else if you want to hear an opinion on what it's like. You just find it in the App Store. It's right here. It's $40. One of these days, I'll probably actually buy it. And then I'll write an article for you about it. That way you see what it's all about. But anyway, I think that's all for this tutorial. Make sure you check out the article at garagebandprofessional.com slash GarageBand Instruments Hip Hop. I run through each one, offer some presets. And yeah, I think that's all for today. And I'll see you next time.